This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts are not trained professionals, and their opinions come from personal experience, not professional training. In this episode, we discuss fictional depictions of trauma and violence that may not be suitable for all listeners, so please take care of yourselves. Specific content warnings for each episode can be found in the show notes. Events in the media are discussed in approximate order of escalation. This episode contains spoilers. Hi, I'm Nicole.
And I'm Robin.
And welcome to our first Books That Burn Minisode. We have an unplanned segment for you today because we had originally recorded this, and then we had some issues with our audio, and so we're actually going to re-record it into a longer discussion.
Book is Goldenhand by Garth Nix, the last book of the Old Kingdom series. Specifically, this is a re-record of our minor character spotlight talking about Mogget. This is full of spoilers because it is just the segment we lost and not any of the spoiler-free wrap-up and ratings. Those were in the main episode that's already out.
So, Mogget.
Mogget is awesome, and I constantly oscillate between feeling and not feeling like he deserves everything that's happening.
Mogget, in our original episode, I say this, Mogget is my favorite character in this entire series.
Yeah, he's great.
He's very, very funny. And so, Mogget has an interesting history, where throughout kind of the books we kind of, find more and more pieces, but he was enslaved, from literally I don't want to say like the beginning of the universe. It's not the beginning of the,
but it is the beginning of this universe. It is the beginning of the charter.
Yes, it is the beginning of like the rules of the universe that we read in the books. And so there's this very weird thing where Mogget was enslaved because he was neutral.
Mm-hmm. He didn't take a side.
And that's, first off, that's unsettling already.
Yeah, because the winners kind of were like, well, we're not sure we can trust you. And to be fair, we don't know whether he did anything actively antagonistic that long ago.
That's
true. But still, this is pretty harsh. We finally found out stuff in Clariel. Like, that makes it feel even more harsh.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, it's weird because we don't get this explicitly, but it's kind of implied that as far as like the strata of powerful beings goes, he was the only one that mattered that was neutral.
Mm.
At all. Like, full stop. He was the only voice that would have made a difference that said, I don't want to be part of this. And then he spent, forever.
Well, that's backed up in Abortion, where he does make the final difference at the end. But
oh, yeah.
As to what's in this book, this is our first chance.
Oh, no, wait. I want to talk about all of it because we had originally talked about all of it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's been a month.
Especially because we have more time. Yeah, this was the one where we hadn't talked about him before, and so we just want to, just talk about everything. His, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going back to stuff in, the first trilogy, one of the things that I found very interesting and, again, very unsettling is he has a preferred form, and he is forbidden to use it in the presence of the abortions unless individual ones give him specific permission to use it.
Or we should say one of his preferred forms, but it is the one with hands.
It is the one...
I honestly wonder if that's not maybe why. That's total speculation. But it is interesting to me that his animal form is fine, but the form that has, opposable thumbs and digits, he was told you can't have this. It's also the only form that he can go out in the general public and talk and not cause,
and not
chaos.
Automatically be a magical talking cat, yeah.
Yeah. And not necessarily that that's the only form he can take, but it is kind of interesting thinking about in that light because it's very much a freedom restriction, and it kind of seems random when you encounter it in the book, well, why can't he have this form? But I actually don't think it was random.
I had always assumed that it was because the way he used that form is unsettling, because he uses that form to still eat fish raw while they're still alive. And when he does it as a cat, everyone's a little bit cooler with it.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. There is that angle of like, this is the preferred form that we see that has hands and anonymity and hands and
appendages, amenities.
No, being anonymous.
Oh, on an anonymity.
I can't say that word out loud. That's awful.
Anonymity.
That doesn't sound like a real word. It's fake. No, so it's the only. It's the form that we see where he has the ability to be anonymous out in public.
Mm-hmm.
But although that being said, it's only, he's not forbidden from using it ever. He's forbidden from using it around the abortions. So maybe it's not, maybe it's not that deep.
Also, to be clear, the form that he's in 99% of the time is a white cat. The other form we are talking
Black
about that
cat.
is forbidden, he's black? He's a black cat? I'd always pictured him as a white cat. He's a cat. He's a cat. The reason, I had him in my head that he was a white cat because when he's in this other form, it's an albino dwarf.
Yeah.
And so I thought he was white in both forms.
He might be a white cat. Hold on.
The black cat is Karagor, because they split into a white cat and a black cat.
Oh, okay. Google says that Mogget is 100% a white cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Karagor is, there is a black cat, but it's Karagor. Yeah.
Okay. So in Clariel, okay, so when we're talking about like Mogget and trauma and he's enslaved, he's restricted, but he has his own agenda, and this is, I think, like you had talked about before, kind of where, going back and forth with, does he deserve it or not?
Mm-hmm.
He has his own agenda, and that agenda is very, very much be free and eat his enslavers.
Mm-hmm. I had just remembered a thing. I am sure this did not originate with Babylon 5, but the first obligation of a prisoner is to escape. And that is what Mogget is doing for thousands of years. Yeah. He can like other people. They are tools on the way to getting out. And I really think it's important that when he does finally get out, it's because someone trusted him before he proved himself, if that makes sense.
Well,
like, Sam didn't wait for him to prove he was fine in order to trust him.
No, but Sam did decide. See, this is where I actually don't think this was a altruistic decision.
No. Mogget's decision was not altruistic.
No, not his. Sam's.
Oh, Sam's? I mean, it definitely was. I think at literally any other point in this entire series, if he had been released, that would have been awesome. That would have been the freeing of a prisoner. Instead, he was released as a last-ditch effort to defeat their enemy. Right, because if he didn't help, they were screwed, and if he did help, then they might make it. But the reason I see it as being like a genuine, like, friendship thing from Sam is the way he behaves toward him throughout the book. It's building toward this. Sam is like, I have decided to trust you. And Mogget's like, weird, but okay. I'm going to stab you, but okay.
It definitely does build. See, this is the thing, is it from a narrative perspective, it's built in. From a power dynamics perspective, it is not. From a power dynamics perspective, this is the person in power saying, I'm releasing you because your life is in danger and I want you to help me.
Right. And
then deciding not to go recapture him as a group.
That's true.
That was it. Like, I mean, Sam cares. Sam thought about him. Sam, what if Mogget was free? And I would assume the reason that he was not gone after and recaptured was because he did stand with them.
Mm-hmm.
But if he hadn't, and they had won, even if they won, he would have been back to being a prisoner. So, yeah, I look at that as a coerced decision at best. From both directions. Because you really think Uranus is going to let him live when he also did not side with Uranus, and Uranus's goal is destroying everything. So.
Yeah.
And I do think it's important to note here that once Mogget has his freedom, he does not go on a murderous rampage throughout creation.
Yeah.
Which begs the question of, would he have ever? Or was that just the people who had the power saying, well, we don't want you to do to us what equivalent of what we've done to you?
So I think that,
especially because we learn in this book that Mogget very likely has people who look up to him as a god and have animals named after him and have, like, he has a whole persona, and, like, and everything we learn about him that is negative or destructive comes from our Aborson narrative. It comes from, like, warnings and potent teachings from, like right. it's we don't see him do anything that's not directly aimed at his own freedom or his own ability to have decision. Even the manipulation with Clariel. Even that. He's egging her on, but she's his ticket out of there.
Right.
He wants
and
her
that
to
does
grab
come back to the whole, like, first obligation of the prisoner is to escape. Like, the thing that he is doing, everything is to try and get out. And, as soon as we stop having the abortions tell us how awful he is, someone, likes him. And, he's using her, but he also didn't lie to her.
No.
Well, he did insinuate that she was going to be able to use charter magic just fine after using that much free magic.
Well,
but one of the
the thing is like he does. It's not that he doesn't lie to her. It's that he is manipulative and he is controlling the situation to get what he wants. And I'm trying to remember if it states what his end goal is in Clariel. Because I know killing the king was a revenge goal for the two free magic spirits. But I don't remember if it ever says what Mogget's goal is, or if he just kind of pushes them forward and then, laughs when they're loose. But yeah, like, he's very much this character where he's built up as this big threat that they have to keep under wraps. And he absolutely has the power to be that threat. But nothing that he does warrants that kind of punishment in this series. Now, that being said, this series is the culmination of a series of a history of events. We don't have Mogget's full backstory. We don't even have Mogget's internal dialogue, which is kind of part of the point here. But, and I don't want to say he's a misunderstood character. I want to say that when the people enslaving you talk up how dangerous you are, and the only person that you've ever on screen threatened is them for holding you captive, that's suspect at best.
I also do want to talk about how it's warping his mind, because at least what he is able to say out loud, as far as I can tell, also what he is able to think is shaped
there's certain
by the
things
collar.
He's been forbidden to talk about.
So, it seems not just, we see this the most in Clariel, where, at the very end, there's definitely stuff he's forbidden to talk about, and some of the way he acts in Clariel makes me think that there's stuff that he is literally unable to think when the abortion's attention is on him, because the way he acts at the end once, he's like, oh, I can't believe I was ever doing all those terrible things that the abortions don't like. And Clariel's like, I can't believe I've lost you. You're gone. They've taken you. That sort of an idea. And he's like, what do you mean? This is me. And she's kind of like, no, it's not. It's not you. And for us, that depiction is further from the Mogget we see, but it's consistent. Clariel kind of has us have bouncing around on both extremes.
Well, in the main trilogy, though...
And in the main trilogy, he's more in the middle of that.
Oh, that's straight up gaslighting.
Well, in terms of trauma, not being able to control your own thoughts, not being able to trust your own thoughts, yeah, that's gaslighting. So this is like magical gaslighting where it's not just... Yeah, it's magical brainwashing and gaslighting, and... because it's built into the abortion's family of, like, this is how we treat Mogget, each individual abortion isn't even necessarily trying to hurt him. They just have a vague sense of, if we don't keep him controlled, he'll do something terrible, and they never stop to think that maybe he'll do something terrible because we've been locking him up and controlling him for so long. Maybe we should stop that sometime. Until we get to the one in the family who isn't an abortion.
I don't want to say Mogget the way he wants to be, but, like, he is the least... I would argue that he is the least restricted in Sabriel. Because there is a generational, functional knowledge gap, because Sabriel does not grow up in the Old Kingdom and does not have the cultural know-how that comes along with being in the place that you grew up. And because of that, Mogget wasn't really very restricted, because Sabriel kind of had to rely on him to be her safeguard and protector and backup and guide and everything. Magically, abortion-wise, she was fine. But physically, functionally, she was absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And also, she knew enough to be wary of Mogget. She knew who Mogget was when they first met. She, was kind of muddling her way through controlling him as the person in power in the moment. But there's a huge difference between Mogget, who could just slip off and walk away and come back, and Sabriel gets upset that he went without telling her and has nothing that she knows how to do about it, versus in Clariel, where Mogget couldn't say words because the current abortion who holds the power over him 20 years ago, the last time he saw the cat, had said, "You can't talk about this topic. There's just a big difference. And the difference that we see in Clariel versus Sabriel versus Goldenhand is that in Clariel, Mogget was figuratively and magically, literally, under lock and key, even when he was running away. In Sabriel, he was just kind of going to... Also, like, he was just kind of also going along with this adventure. And if he had wanted Sabriel dead, it would have happened.
Yeah. Like with the Paperwing, when he took it over. Though, to be fair, he did try. He did try then. Like, Mogget totally unbound is not cool with everything. But Mogget with...
I mean, he tried to escape, is the thing.
He came at her when he was like... fire beast after... he rescued her with the Paperwing, and then she had to get the collar on really quickly, because he was like, I'm going to eat you. But I do agree that he is the most free of the versions of him with a collar in Sabriel.
Yeah. And then, by the time we get to Goldenhand, he just does what he wants. And it's it's great.
It's also post
freedom. But, like, if you think about, like, the conversations that Mogget has with the character interactions that Mogget has with people, the few times we see it in Goldenhand versus the other books, they're the most similar to just the banter that he had in Sabriel. Like, the writing of his conversation is the closest. That's where they match up. And I think...
I'd have to look back at that.
It's something that kind of struck me reading it through, like, this time. Because I read them all in, like, a span of 3 days. Instead of reading the first 3 a lot and then the other 2 by themselves when I got them, because they were released way after I started reading the series. But, like, the tone, the words he uses, the way he just talks to people, like, the frank, blunt honesty, he is straightforward with Sabriel, even within the limits of, like, the Charterstone break. Way more than he is in any other book other than Goldenhand.
And in Sabriel, he's almost frustrated that he can't give her more information, which is definitely not how he is in Clariel. In Clariel, he's fighting to say less. In Goldenhand, he can just do whatever. But, and I would say that towards the end of Abortion is actually his most free, but I agree that Sabriel will get the most of it, and it's most emblematic because by Abortion, he is a little bit more free, and he's starting to have individual people who are trusting him.
That's true, but my argument for why, like, I personally would vote for Sabriel on that is just because of how different he is around the dog. He shuts up around the dog in a way that he does not in any other book other than Clariel. And in Clariel, it's magical. Okay. When he's around the disreputable dog, it's by choice. And that's with their shared history. That's with their origin. Like, he does not want
because some remnant of some version of the dog enslaved him. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a little cagey about it.
Yeah. Like, there's definitely, I think you're right that there's definitely moments in Abortion where he is a lot more like, I mean, really, honestly, to be fair, it's moments with Sam. It's moments with not the abortions. But he does have those moments. But also he straight up does not give information that would have helped them because the dog is around or because, like, people are, he basically just kind of, there's a couple moments where he basically just kind of goes, go ask the people that are supposed to help you. And they're like, but you're supposed to be serving me. And he's like, psh, nah, I don't want to help you now. Like, good, let Uranus get out and devour the world. That would be awesome. Like, he doesn't say that verbatim, but there is a conversation where that is basically his attitude. It's like, well, we were doing better for a while, but you're back to treating me kind of a little bit not as nicely as I would like to be. Or, I mean, to be fair, it's not you're treating me worse now. It is what, like, it is, I don't want to talk about with the dog. Go get the dog to help you. And there's just this dynamic there where, I don't know. It is extremely interesting to me to kind of compare and think about.
And I do want to talk about how he is in Goldenhand, because even though we don't get a ton of him in Goldenhand, like, we're seeing him basically, like, after all the bad stuff is over for him, and it is, like, most powerful and most individual, and here we learn where Mogget, when he can do whatever he wants, he is upset that people are messing. He is upset when people are messing with his river, and so when he is upset that people are messing with his river, that is the thing that makes him, like, do something other than run around the world and catch fish and stuff. Mogget got the most upset about something he cared about for him when people were messing with his river. And so we see that Mogget, left to his own devices, cares deeply about rivers because they have fish in them, and he wants to eat fish.
I mean, honestly,
because I love Mogget, but I also
you also love air conditioning. To be fair,
I love air conditioning,
and not
hello,
overheating.
Listeners. When we record these, I have to turn off my air conditioning, and it's a sacrifice I make for you.
And in the part of the country where Robin is, that means something.
I am in Louisiana. I'm in Louisiana, and I sacrifice my air conditioning for you. So the main points, I think, are Mogget is enslaved in a way that reaches into his mind and messes with his ability to think and to express his free will. And it's kind of ironic that we're talking about the trauma for him in Goldenhand, because Goldenhand is the
when he's free.
point where he It's when he's free. It's when he has the least trauma. It's when he finally has, like, his own stuff. And I like that we're getting to talk about that aftermath.
Yeah.
So
I just hope, as a closing thought, I just hope that Mogget actually likes creation and isn't just trauma bonded to it.
Well,
but to be fair,
he
didn't cling to the people. He did cling to the fish, which did nothing to him.
Well, he eats them, so
he does something to them. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you have any other final thoughts about Mogget?
Other than he's my favorite, and no, not really.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining for this slightly delayed, extended minor character spotlight. We hope you liked this discussion that's a little bit longer than what we usually can give to a minor character, but he was in all 5 books, and he was a big part of all the books, so it's totally worth it. And if we had to do this extended episode, extended segment for any minor character, it's Mogget.
If we could pick if I could pick any minor character to treat as a main character, it would be my favorite cat, who is in every book in this series. He's the only character in every book in this series. Yeah,
he's the other one in every book. We thought really hard about making him a main character, but we couldn't pick which book he would have been, and we almost never had scenes from his perspective.
This is fitting. This is a good tribute.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us for this slightly delayed minor character spotlight. You can find our full episodes and any minisodes we end up doing on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you in a little under a fortnight. All music used in this podcast was created by Nicole as HeartBeatArt Co. and is used with permission.
You can follow us on Twitter at Books That Burn, all one word.
You can email us with questions, comments, or book recommendations at booksthatburn@yahoo.com.
Support us on patreon.com/booksthatburn. All patrons get access to our upcoming book list and receive a one-time shout-out.
You can leave us an iTunes review. This helps people to find the show.
And find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks.